We have a lot to talk about tonight. Before we get to the notion of Elon Musk and how he is critical and how Joe Rogan is still the most important voice, and how Tucker Carlson has pretty much evaporated into nothing, especially when we need it now, I want to discuss something with you, which is a fascinating subject, and that is this notion of Trump derangement syndrome. Move over, meet Israel derangement syndrome. People are not able to handle the notion of Israel. They can't concoct the idea. They can't understand. They can't grasp the notion of what is happening in Israel with Hamas and what's going on right now. They're unable to differentiate it. It is okay to hate with an impassioned savagery all that is Israel. It's it's important for people to know that yes, I can do this. Yes, just like I did with climate change. Yes, and BLM. Yes, and trans. Yes, I can do this. Yes, and I can hate Trump because Trump derangement syndrome. Move over. It's Israel derangement syndrome. Let me tell you a story. Today we talked to a friend of ours, and we have another friend who owns an establishment here in the New York area, and he's Jewish, and he put in. I don't know exactly the configuration of Source, but he put in this planters these little Israeli flags, with the Mogan David, and okay, fine. So he's watching this. This is his place, his country. He's an American. And this kid walks up, maybe 17, 18, grabs one of the flags, steps on it, crushes it, not even sure whether anybody's even watching it. He didn't record it. It wasn't done as part of any kind of a social media statement. He did it just to do it the same way that people have tattoos. The same way, we'll get to that in a moment too. The same way that people all of a sudden have these wild and crazy ideas regarding climate change or regarding climate election denial or J6 or whatever. They go berserk over this notion. They go crazy. They go nuts. And it's part and parcel of a way of thinking. It is an allowed hatred and the transmogrification, the transference of being anti-Israel to anti-Jewish, and I would dare say anti-Semitic, and that's not a term I use all the time, but it is now full-fledged, full-bore, out of control, and nobody is doing a thing about it. But if these people grabbed a Black Lives Matter flag or grabbed some kind of a trans gay flag, whatever, the rainbow, did anything along those lines, they will be charged with a hate crime. Anybody charged with a hate crime that you hear pulling down the pictures of I guess hostages? No, no. If it was anybody, of course it'd be a hate crime. We use hate crime so much that one time, was it Bubba? What's his name? Bubba. There was it appeared to be a noose, and it turns out it was a pull knot on a garage door. Bubba, whatever his name was. You understand this? You got this? Do you see what I'm saying? Do you see what's going? Do you dig this? Anybody paying attention here? Anybody paying attention? Is anybody paying attention? Do you hear what's going on? Do you see what's going on? Are you following this? This is really serious because we are now getting into pogrom style, crystal knocked anti-Semitism. Now let me go through this and explain this yet again. Number one, you can dislike, despise, disagree with Israeli military or political policy. Do you understand that? Yes. Is that okay? Of course it's okay. They do that in Israel. They do it in a lot of folks do that regarding military, political, whether Bibi Netanyahu, the Likud party, whatever it is. That's fine. Not a problem. No sweat. That's what we did. There were people who during the Vietnam War were against the war. Bobby Kennedy was pretty much whacked because he was against the war. Gene McCarthy was against the war. Everybody was against the war. And to show you how demented that was, even then, there were people who were young. There were soldiers who came back, and Marines who came back from Vietnam and were told, ditch your uniform because you're going to be met by people who are going to call you baby killer and spit on you after you have spent over a year risking your life for a cause we don't want to have anything to do with. They're going to spit on you. And that's true. That wasn't an exaggeration. So this is nothing new. But we have a new form of this virulent anti-Israel, but anti-Israel is one thing. It's okay. You can be anti-France, you can be anti-whatever in terms of government. But anti-Jew is a different story. When you hear people talk about going on airports, you go, hey, calling out the Jews. Or going up to somebody who might be wearing either a kippah, a yarmulke or a payas or something, and then say, you should be ashamed of yourself. Wait a minute. There are people in Israel who are Jewish who were against this. This goes to show you the monumental stupidity of people in this country and how nobody cares about them. Nobody cares about this because if this were any other group of people, they'd be called a hate crime. You can't say that to LGBTQI2 plus. You can't do that. You can't say that to black people. You can't say that to gay people. You can't say that. You can't do that. But Jews, well. Now, I've, for the record, told you, and I have said this repeatedly, Israel, whatever you're doing, Israeli government I'm talking about now. This is Bibi and IDF. You're making the biggest mistake of your life. This is ridiculous. This is folly. You're going to invade Gaza. You're going to level it. You will rue this the rest of your life. This is unnecessary. It's wrong. You don't do it that way. Yes, I understand you're trying to get Hamas. Yes, I understand. I got it better than anybody. This is not the way to do it. It's not the way to do it. This is you are being played. You are being played by Hamas. This is something which I can't explain to people. I can't explain this to people. I don't think they understand. And it's a very complicated thing. I mentioned this morning, the WAFT party in Egypt, which pretty much created the Muslim Brotherhood. The same thing goes for this. And in fact, it may have very well been, and it is suspected, and it is believed, and it is thought, that Israel created, in effect, in essence, created Hamas. Now, that notwithstanding, this is barbaric. So I'm talking to my friend. I said, if I were you, I would take these signs down. He said, but I have a right. What are you talking about? Of course you have a right. But does the name Charlie Hebdo come to mind? You're talking to somebody who was castigated, excoriated, basically penalized because of some type of an apparent affinity with Trump. This is TDS, Trump derangement syndrome. This is Israel derangement syndrome. I know all about this. What are you talking? I've been through this before. I've been through this, but this is dangerous. These people are going to hurt you. You do not have a First Amendment right in this country. You might have it from the government, but you don't have any protection against these lunatics. And if somebody hurts you, somebody sets your shop on fire, whatever it is, I'm telling you, nobody's going to help you. Nobody. Nobody cares about this. This is Kristallnacht. We're this far away from this. This is a pogrom. It's going to happen. You think I'm exaggerating? You don't know how history works. This is where we are right now. Yeah, we're talking about people who are just talking about nonsense. People who just talk about nonsense. And by the way, you can, how do I say this? Let me see if I can explain this to you. I appreciate what many people do by trying to explain. This is very good. Casper writes something that hatred is a form of insanity where one is incapable of the empathy required to listen to an opposing argument. Um, no, no, no. Some hatred is fine. Hey, you can hate Al Qaeda. You can hate the people who you were told knock down the towers. You can hate serial killers. That's fine. You can you can even hate, very frankly, the Japanese military, the Japanese. We show them by internment. Dear God, hate is just. I don't make any attempt at trying to diagnose behavior. I'm not trying to diagnose behavior. This is what human beings do. This is what they are. I don't know why they're like this. But there is somebody today right now. There's a group of people who are so bereft of any kind of rational thinking. These are the ones who lose their mind because somebody puts their seat back in an airplane. They slide their seat back. They go nuts. They go berserk. The Karens who hate you, who will spit at you, the people who get out of cars for road rage. We have people, big hulking students who will take a teacher and pound her into the ground head first. There is a pathology that is evidenced and evinced by a group of people, and I'm not sure why. I mean, we could describe, but I don't really care why. I don't really care. But we are heading towards this, and nobody's saying a damn thing about it. Nothing. Nothing. And there are people who are anti-Semitic who hate Jews because they think that's Israel and it's okay to hate Israel. It's exactly right. And they can't explain to you why. They can't explain to you why. They can't put into words why they feel this way. Now, another subject. I read something that was interesting, which showed that, and I have been talking about this for the longest time. About 32% of the population has a tattoo. 1 out of 3 people. And I forget of the statistics, was it the numbers blew me away. I mean, blew me away. I could not believe. Oh, here we go. 32%. This is, by the way, this is from August, from Pew Research. 32% of Americans have a tattoo, including 22% who have more than one. Men, 10% of men have it, 12% of women. Asian have the fewest tattoos. White, black are the same. Ages, high school, ethnicity. And I will never. And by the way, now you're going to start to see incredible parlors and services to remove or to reverse these hideous things, and they are so. I just despise them. I despise tattoos. I think they are the most. I mean, just so stupid. It's okay. It's your freedom, but it goes to show you I have no brain. I want to look and be like everybody else. I have a tattoo. I will do whatever I have. A stud, a tattoo. I will use phrases. I have to be a part of the scrum. It's what I have to do. Okay, fine. But by that same particular mentality is what brings people to do and say these terrible things. Because they are told it's okay and it is cool to hate Israel. It's okay. In fact, it's preferred. The more you do, the better it is. And as I was telling my friend, you are out of your mind if you dare have anything to show your particular faith or your particular ideas or your thoughts regarding Israel. You can't do this. Nobody wants you. You are on your own. You are on your own. It's done. There is a derangement. You can get away with it. You can hate them. And that doesn't mean, and as I've said yet again, the particular the way Israel is handling this is wrong. Wrong. It means it doesn't mean you don't have a point. It doesn't mean that there's no Hamas. But this is you can't do this. You can't level and invade and destroy Hamas or Gaza. Now, next, Elon Musk is a work. Elon Musk is he's kind of a Elon Musk is a kind of a carnival barker, bit of a work. Tucker Carlson went apeshit when he met Elon Musk. I mean, to the point where it was ridiculous. It was embarrassing. He was like this supplicating, this sycophantic lickspittle bootlicker. Same thing with Andrew Tate. Same way with Portnoy. Whenever Tucker thinks there's an alpha male, whatever he thinks that is, he just is drawn to them. He's attracted to them. I'll let you do the math. I'll let you figure out what that means. I'll let you imply your own particular interpretation platform to that. But he has been a waste of time. Tucker Carlson has accomplished nothing. Nothing. He says things that are good. He says things that are, they come in randomly. They come out. He drops one here and drops one there. And okay. It doesn't mean anything because he was only good when he was on Fox. What does that mean? Howard Stern was only Howard Stern when he couldn't say what he wanted to say. Howard Stern never said anything brilliant, funny. He was only good when he was kind of breaking the rules or going to the edge or the pushing the envelope or whatever the particular word is. That was that was Howard Stern. Okay. Now, when you say, okay, go ahead and say whatever you want, he's boring. Nobody cares and nobody listens to this. It's dull. It's just, there's no oomph there. He never reinvented himself. He's trying now to be serious. To ask Paul McCartney for the umpteenth time whether Yoko split up the Beatles. I mean, this is just so goddamn boring. Isn't even funny. Tucker Carlson was only interesting when he was on Fox News. When he would talk to Viktor Orban, or he would take on the role of someone who was seemingly antithetical to the particular, thought pattern of Fox. If that makes any sense to you, he's boring. He's not important anymore. And what people are saying is, well, no, I like him. I didn't say whether you liked him. I'm not talking about that. I am saying there's nothing new. There's nothing dangerous. Alex Jones is probably still Alex Jones because he's dangerous. He says some important things. He says things that are, I don't know what the word is, but at least it's sort of, and Joe Rogan is still the most important person in the world. But what Elon Musk is doing is he is calling out folks. He is introducing to you not only George Soros, but what George Soros means. Put your money on our good friend Elon Musk. It's the most important, very, very important, very, very critical. And we need everything that we can get because there is no Republican Party. There's no Republican Party. It's a waste of time. It is complete and utter hogwash. It is a bunch of blatteroons and poltroons and blatherskites and craven nobody sitting around basically saying nothing. They're saying nothing of any importance. Nothing of any importance to you or me or anybody else for that matter. It's not important. What he's saying and what they are saying is not important. It's not critical. I don't know how to say it. Jim Jordan's the biggest waste of time anybody's ever seen. Jim Jordan, Josh Hawley, Ted Cruz, the same thing. And you can look at this, whatever Fox News was, there is no Republican Party. Oh, there's CPAC. You can talk about Ron DeSantis. You want to talk about that? Nikki Haley. It's a joke. It is this pretend. They're the Washington Generals. They are a pretend group or organization of people trying desperately to act as though they represent some kind of force to be reckoned with, if that makes any sense to you. Does that make any sense? I hope it does. We have no political parties. Joe Biden is he has not been touched. He is unscathed. Nothing. He's laughing at you. You didn't lay a glove on him. Hunter Biden, same thing. Fauci, go down the list. Zuckerberg, the TikTok dude, nothing. It is a waste of time. We don't have any government here. We don't have anything. They don't exist. Okay? Write something pithy about that. Give me some quote, some Ayn Rand quote. Save your time. Save your effort. It's a waste of time. We are not doing anything of any sort. We have an election coming up with absolutely no guarantee that it will be protected. None. We have a president who will most probably be the Republican nominee who is on trial for basically nothing. And he is in charge right now for overvaluing. It's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard in my life. In any event, it's a waste of time. And the Republicans cannot wait for him to step down. Now, here is the most important person in the world. Xi Jinping, Vladimir Putin, MBS, BRICS plus 6. That's it. Not the UN, not the EU, not NATO. Those people. Put your money on them. Those guys run the show. We don't. It's over. It's twilight. It's nighty-night for the United States. We're not in charge of anything. There's nothing at all that's important or scary about us. In the least. Nothing. Nothing. We can't even get this story straight regarding Israel or whatever it is. They're going to get $14.3 billion in aid for Israel. Why? Who really gets it? Is it accountable? Is it accountable? Is it accountable? Let me ask you a question. We're going on the record by telling the world we're giving Israel money, which is fine. Do you have a problem with that? Anybody got a problem with that? Anybody? Anybody? Do you think there will be any blowback whatsoever? Do we have anything, or do we say, you know what, screw it. We're the United States. We don't care what you think. That's the way that is. We are on our own. The entire world, the street, the Arab street, European street, everybody's against Israel. I'm not saying this is a reason to back up. Do you think this is a good idea? Do you think this is a good idea? I'm curious. Do you think? Did you? Do you think this is a good idea to give $14.3 billion in aid to Israel? Yes or no? Do you think so? Enough with the phrases, enough with the pithy stuff, enough with the corporate cronyism. Answer my question. I'm asking you a question. Do you think this is a good idea? Was it never? No. Okay. No. World War III has already begun either way. You think it's a good idea? Anybody? No. Anybody think it's a good idea? I'm serious. There's got to be somebody here who really cares about this. Somebody's got to say, do you think this is a good idea? Do you think this is a good idea? Come on, somebody have to. We don't have the money. Well, we never really have the money to begin with because it's not really money. We give aid to any country that suffers a catastrophe. WTF. We all said no. Well, let me tell you something. Well, what happens if we don't? Here's the bottom line. This is the bottom line. And the bottom line is simply this. By the way, we've got 270 people here watching, and not everybody is voting. Let me just say this. You've got to ask yourself two questions. Number one, is the cause justified? Great. Number two, is it going to incur the wrath of our enemies? And if so, do we want that? George Lennon says, what we are really talking about here is the war of wills. Can a corrupt government remain in power when the people no longer trust their leaders? Which one are we talking about here? But thank you, George. I appreciate that. The United States, Israel, Hamas. What? What is going on here? What is going on here? What are we talking about? Who? What government? Do you think we should just let Hamas go? Does Hamas win? Is that it? Hamas says, this is terrific. I'm going to go around the world. How do you stop? Who wants to stop Hamas? I do. I do. Absolutely. You don't play like that. You don't play like that. You never want to empower a quote terrorist organization. Countries are one thing. They have planes with flag with numbers and all that. You don't want to do this. How do you do this? You got to get MBS involved in this, and you got to scare the shit out of these people. You understand this? We are not a part of this. We are not. When you give money away, that's going to us. That goes into the same pockets that goes to Zelensky, military industrial. Where's all this? What is this money for? You buying what? Buying more what? Weapons? What? What are you doing for? What? Is Israel equipped? I'm talking about Israel like any other country. Is Israel equipped to handle a war like this? Most of them are reserves. What are we talking about? Where's this money going? When somebody starts a fight, if somebody starts a fight, and I see that you've done it, is it my job to go in and break it up, or to stop the person? I don't understand this. Now, since 1948, all right, since the Nakba, somebody somewhere has to sit down and say, beginning immediately, Israel, dear friends, dear friend, dear ally, whatever you think you are doing correctly, the rest of the world is saying no. And as we speak, I mentioned this morning, Hezbollah and others are going to be involving themselves in putting together forces, groups, shock troops, terrorist groups, whatever you want to call them, who are going to be coming here. And what they're going to do is Hamas is going to be telling you, if this is your friend, fine, you're now our enemy. It's that simple. And you could say to yourself, okay, that's the way it is. Great. Now we're going to have this here. America does not have the stomach to see this. You don't know what it is. You don't know what that is. You won't be able to handle this. If all of a sudden there is some pretty nasty stuff at Mall of America, Las Vegas, Disneyland, Disney World, East Sullivanville, Montana, some little place that nobody ever heard of, to show you, okay, America, this is yours. You wanted this. Now you're going to pay too. Now we'll get your attention. You want to keep this up? You keep funding them. You want to keep this up? Go ahead. What happens then? What do we do? Nothing. Do we get intel to find out who they are? We know who they are. It's Hamas. And you can say whether it's Iran's sponsor, whether it's Hezbollah, doesn't really matter. When you see something, if all of a sudden you see It's a Small World blow up in Orlando, what are you going to do? What are you going to say then? Are you going to give me some pithy phrase? Courage under fire is the mark of Maximilian, and we'll quote something, or we'll have a meme or some trope or something. America doesn't know what we're doing. We talk. This is utter and please, I'm not trying to be particularly scabrous, but it's a word that means a lot. This is bullshit. This is complete. We have no idea what we're talking about. I'm sitting back and I'm thinking, oh my God, it's going to happen. They're coming, and we're talking. I don't know what we're talking about. Somebody sent me something. What is her name? Oh, Laura Ingraham was talking about that stupid story of the parents or people stealing candy from somebody's porch. This was a story. This was a story on Fox News. Do you hear what I'm saying? Do you hear what I'm saying? On Fox News. How do you even, I mean, let me answer this. I'm doing the Mark Simone show tomorrow at he's not going to like what I have to say. What do you think? Let me try this again. Let me try to explain this. If you want to find out what's happening in this world, you do not go, I promise you do not go to anything even remotely called, I guess, what do you want to call it? You would not call it, for lack of a better word, or go to anything that's on any kind of cable. I was watching today, and again, I say this because it is so monumentally important, so critical. I was watching this wonderful piece, and it was Palki Sharma on First Post. Absolutely wonderful, just wonderful, brilliant. She was talking about Bhutan and others, and other. It was just brilliant. And they live in a world where they can kind of see what's going on here, because this is clearly international. It's foreign policy and the like, and we don't know what's going on here. And remember what I'm telling you. I'm going to say to you, I told you this was going to happen. I told you. I don't mean to say this. I told you. And what are we going to say? We're going to do what? What are we going to do? We're the greatest and the smartest. Okay, what are you going to do? Let's assume there's some catastrophic, some event. Nothing too big, but a bunch of Americans killed, or Jews killed, or somebody's hurt on our shores. What are you going to do? You know what's going to happen? Nothing. Because Americans don't care. Americans are fat. Americans are bored. Americans don't understand this. Americans have never really had anything. The last time anything even remotely looked important, this was, 22 years ago, 9/11, and that was it. Nothing. We're going to sit around and we're going to yammer and chat, and we're going to send little pithy stuff, and most people are going to be doing their little Instagram things, and it doesn't really matter. So what I'm trying to tell you is that just take all of your attention and just look elsewhere, because there's nothing going on. There is no intelligent life on this planet or in this country. None. It doesn't exist. I can't say it anymore. And Donald Trump, he has a meeting, he has a rally. Donald Trump should be speaking every single day about what's going on in the world. But I've already discussed that one, and that's too far. I tried to explain to you today what AGI would look like in this world. It's a waste of time. I just gave up on that one too because there's something about the subject that I don't know. It doesn't lend itself to this. So I'm going to say, dear Mohammed bin Salman, Xi Jinping, Vladimir Putin, Abdullah, Jordan, every Emirates, Qatar, please, let's work with you. We want to work with you because we're not doing anything here. Nothing. We're not doing anything here. They are still. I told you this before, and forgive me if I'm saying this again because you might have missed it. This is the level of discussion on American right-wing stuff. I think it was Ben Shapiro who, along with Candace Owens, believed just speak quickly and hope to God somebody mistakes or confuses fast speech and celerity with wisdom. In any event, I think it was at Oxford, and there was a woman who was a Palestinian Muslim, and she's doing her thing, and Ben is talking about this thing, and they're still arguing about who's right or who's wrong regarding 1948, regarding the state of Israel. We're absolutely how monumentally, incredibly crazy is this? You understand what's happening right now, my friend? So let me just say this to you, and I want you to listen to me very, very carefully. It's very, very important, very, very careful that you understand this. We are into the next level of our country, our development, our perdition, contamination, decrepitude, whatever you want to call it. We are there right now. And there are some very important and critical leaders who might be able to help us, whether it's Elon or others. There are other people who provide a waste of time. Somebody sent me today an interview that Bill Maher had with somebody. Say, Jesus, Bill Maher. I don't know what to tell you. I'm looking elsewhere. I have officially given up on anything even remotely considering, here. We've got some Washington visits planned to see kind of what Mrs. L has, I think, a better maybe chance of maybe finding intelligent life regarding, child trafficking, I guess. But as far as the rest of the world goes, we're done. This country blew it when it came to Ukraine and Russia. Vladimir Putin was 100% correct. He didn't invade anything. He told them this is a red line. You can't do this. And Victorian illness and whatever. And people just jumped onto this. They hate whatever. And the same thing. And by the way, you know who turns out to be the biggest flop? The biggest flop. The biggest flop. You know who it is? Bobby Kennedy Jr. Flop. Zero. Going nowhere. He's kind of like a weird, like a weird band or something. He's like this, he's like, he's just nothing. Nothing. Doesn't happen. Not serious. Not serious. Talks about stuff and whatever. Just, can you see just where the momentum is just kind of petering out? It's just going nowhere. And this is what it should be picking up. We don't have anybody. We don't have anybody. We don't have anybody. And I know this doesn't make. I know this is not the best news. But if your answer is, well, what do we do? What do we do? Well, there's not a whole lot you can do. We're in the prison yard. We're in a prison, and we are hoping that the guards and the warden decides to give us a break because we don't have a say here. You understand this? The U.S. blew it, George says, when we seized Russia's assets. You know what's funny, George, and I thank you for that. Assets don't grab anything. What did we do to Iran? Did we hurt Iran? No. What happens when Iran decides to let people have it and institute its nuclear arsenal? What happens then? John McGuire couldn't get higher, said RFK is a bit like that new Beatles song that was released today. Yeah, it's funny you say that. Wasn't that the biggest nothing? Wasn't that the biggest nothing? Nothing. The Beatles existed during a time that does not exist now. They were fueled and propelled by a vivacity, by an excitement, by a verve, an elan, by a style that they don't have anymore. They have lost it. Bob Dylan cannot write the way he did then. There are things that they are over. There are people who never lose interpretational style. Clapton, Santana, they actually get better. Many, I think blues artists and the like. But for the idea, the Beatles, in many respects, it's like enough with the Beatles. Enough with it. And I'm so sick of people jumping on board like a bunch of lemmings. John Lennon, if you've ever heard of what John Lennon said, and it's tragic what happened to him, certainly. What he and Paul did, probably at the behest or at the tail end of Pet Sounds with George Martin, inspired by that. When he and Yoko used to go on TV shows, it was interesting, but it was the most mindless drivel I have ever heard in my life. Mindless. At the time, it was good. It was, kind of interesting. He was an activist. I will not be surprised if one day we find out that Mark David Chapman was a part of an MK Ultra plan. I'm not saying it's true. I don't have any proof of it, but I wouldn't be surprised. It has all the earmarks of it. Just like I wouldn't be surprised during my video of 10/7, their 9/11, being a lie hop. It's consistent with it. Does it mean that it happened? But it's consistent. You can't rule it out. My hop, no. But still. And I am waiting for either a revolution, something new. The people that I would need, if I could take, and I tell people this, they think I'm kidding me. I think I'm kidding. Joe Rogan is critical, and I love his curiosity. Alex Jones, if he could get past, if I could just take that spirit of Alex Jones before he started screaming and yelling, before the Elmer Gantry thing came in, if I could get David Knight in my cabinet. David Knight's brilliant. David Knight he does stuff. He is so terrific. And it's not so much that he's just brilliant. Judge Napolitano is terrific. Douglas McGregor. By the way, I tried to have on Douglas McGregor, I don't know how many times. And he's very nice people. And one of his staff wrote back and says, he's busy. He's booked right now. He doesn't have time for you. I'm kind of reading into it. I'm saying, but I have more people. He's on a show with 3,000 people. I say, well, we have more people. This doesn't matter. It's like, okay, maybe they don't like me. Maybe they just, but Douglas McGregor is it. I wanted to have on, at one particular point, it was very, very good. Alan Dershowitz dropped me like just like nothing. Okay. It hasn't been the, so I'm not really into the, when you have a guest on and say, what am I going to have? But I would love to ask Douglas McGregor questions nobody else asks. I don't want him to repeat the same thing. John Mearsheimer is my hero. I don't know how to, I'm not, he's on shows where there's 4 people watching. Maybe I'm blackballed. I have no idea. I would love to ask him a question that's different than anything else. I don't want to hear him repeat the same story about the red line and how Putin doesn't want Ukraine to be a bulwark. I'm different than them. But in my world, these people are critical. I would get it in my cabinet, Palki Sharma, who's brilliant. I would get people who see things from, and by the way, lest you think I'm what people who want to agree with me. There's things that Amy Goodman says that are terrific. I'd want her perspective too. A guy that I used to be friends with, who I think he just despises me now, which is okay, is Webster Tarpley. He is a bona fide genius. He says things that I don't agree with, but that doesn't mean anything. From a historical point of view, he's brilliant. There are a lot of people that I would want in my cabinet to help frame. When you see the murmurations, when you see starlings move, when you see this, what do you see? You see groups of people. They're all different. They don't really agree with each other, but they're moving in concert. And I think one of the most important voices around today that we could do more to turn people onto science and Max is Lex Friedman. Lex Friedman is an absolute one of the most powerful voices, bar none. And this is just me. He would be in my cabinet because I want people to find science and everything cool. I want them to find this to be interesting. And I would have these people that might or might not. I've tried sometimes to listen to, because remember, you might. I don't want people who are necessarily in agreement with me. I just don't want somebody who's an obstructionist. Rachel Maddow says some things. I don't follow her enough, but she said some things which are very, very interesting. We don't really disagree. We have a different view. And my world is far more brutal. It's less idealistic. There's a brutality to what I don't believe in what shouldn't be, whether it's a sin, whether it's right. It's just the way it is. It's called realism. This is the way it is. I've got one friend of mine who is a prototypical, hates Trump with a passion. She's very, very staunch, very powerful Jewish woman, very proud. And I said, you see the way they're acting with you regarding Israel? Yeah, I said, that's the way you are with Trump. I said, you just don't understand it. Let me ask you something. Is there anybody here who thinks that the Palestinian cause is lying? Do you think anybody, when these people talk about apartheid and you hear these horrible stories, do you think, I got this Bankman-Fried. Hang on a minute. I just got this. Wait a minute. Found guilty on all counts in crypto trial. Bankman-Fried. Guilty. Let me give you this one. Just saw it right now. This is the, I don't know if this is the, this is great news. That mother, I despise that punk. Hang on. Let me just post this, just for whatever it's worth, my friend. Unbelievable. See, this is why I love the internet. This is why I love it, because it's immediate. It's so fast. But let me go back to what I'm saying. Let me go back to this thing with you. Do you recognize the fact? Do you understand the fact? Do you see the fact? Do you first grasp that everything that we are doing right now, everything. By the way, someone said, never doubt a jury, never doubt a jury to convict. I was not feeling very, very good about this trial. From what I was seeing from afar, he could have found guilty of one. They could have acquitted on the last two, maybe a lesser included. No, I thought he took the stand. It was very, very scary, very interesting. But I digress. You've got to first figure out what is it that we're going to happen. What exactly? How do we say this? I want you to be in the position where you recognize the fact that this, and this are what's happening. Not what should be, but what's happening. This. How we got here, I don't know. Who knows? Okay? But you must recognize this fact. And you got to ask yourself, what is the responsibility? What do we do next? John McGuire says, Gus question, Matthew Russell Lee from Inner City Press, he seems boring on Twitter, but an interview format fantastic he has on Viva Fry a while back, and he's in New York. Interesting. That's good. Thank you. Thank you. I will certainly look into that. But I don't want to have a guest just have a guest. I don't need to have a guest because I want to ask him a question. I don't like Viva Fry, great guy, great. Don't have anything to ask him. Not interested. His lawyer, the lawyer. I don't really have anything I want to, discuss. There are people that I'm interested in terms of I'm fans of. Mearsheimer is I told you Mearsheimer, McGregor rather. Those are people I want to kind of talk about because I want to ask them a question because they know something about a particular thing that I don't know about. Military in particular. Military fascinates me. Military fascinates me. I love the way. Let me tell you about it. Who does a wonderful job. Listen to any Tom Ricks article and his book called The Generals. What Matthew Ridgway did. What military is about. What is military? What is the number one thing? What does military do? Military is basically kills people and destroys property. That's it. That is it. Do you understand that? That's all it does. That's what military does. Military doesn't make the platform, doesn't make the policy, doesn't. So you tell me what to do, I'll do it. We will do it. What do you want to do? Then provided it's not immoral. You want to carpet bomb Vietnam? Great. Got it. Is that what you want me to do? Got it. This is the most ridiculous thing. I will never understand how, for example, I would have said to Israel a long time ago, we're not going to go in and blast Gaza. We're not going to do this. The people who run Hamas, we got to get to by going to their boss. And their bosses are the ones who determine what's going on. Their bosses are. What do we got to do with them? We got to make it look like we're fighting. But this is the bottom line. What do we need to do? If Qatar wanted to cut off, if the Emirates, if everybody said, all right, that's enough. This isn't going anywhere. We're losing ground here. It would be over within a heartbeat. Hamas isn't going to go against them. Hell no. They're saying, you go ahead. The world's with us. The world's behind us. We got the wind at our back. That's what we're going to do. That's how you stop this. You're not going to blow up Gaza. No. Same thing with Vietnam. People said, we never had the chance to win Vietnam. No, we're not going to win Vietnam. It's a different, no, that's not it. Unless you nuke it, you're not going to do it. You don't have the firepower. Gulf War I versus Gulf War II. Completely different. What are you going against? Wait till you go against Hezbollah. See, there are some fighters out there that are really serious. Turkey, serious fighters. Infantry, one-on-one. Next question. Where are you finding them? You're finding them over there. Ooh. Can you imagine if somebody came here? Imagine for a moment. All of a sudden, at the southern border, Turkey is lining up and they're moving in. Huge battalions, divisions, brigades of Turkey soldiers coming in up through Texas. And all of a sudden, I'm turning to my black brother, my Jewish brother, my Chinese brother, American. I'm going to say, oh no, oh no, no, no. No, no, no. They're not going to do this. You don't do that. You don't come to our country and do this. No. Plus, we know where everything is. We know where to hide. We know where all the stuff is. You're not going to win. It's just, war is very, very simple. It's kind of simple. What's the terrain? What's the weather? What is it? How are you doing it? Is it on water? Is it on what? What? How are you going to get them? House to house? Is it Fallujah? Is it Mogadishu? What is it? Tell me. Do we have any naval battles anymore? I don't know. Do we really need? I mean, they're great to launch. Did you know that according to some, that our aircraft carriers had to be out beyond Sicily to not be subject to the range of missiles? So I mean, so all this talk about war and everything is just a complete and total waste of time. The bottom line comes down to simply this: Israel's going to end. This battle is going to end when somebody picks up the phone and says, "All right, that's it. We're going to talk quietly." BB, send your guy. By the way, why is BB's son in Florida? What the hell's that all about? Get your ass over there. Put in a pair of fatigues. I don't care if you're in the front line. I kind of dig that. What are you doing? What are you, nuts? This is BB. What? I don't get it. I don't get it. George Lenz said the U.S. would have the home field advantage. Oh, that's exactly right. And also remember one thing, George. When somebody is fighting for their own country, it's a different story altogether. Dear friends, I thank you. You've been more than kind. Thank you so much. George Lenz, thank you. John McGuire couldn't get higher. You have been so, so very, very kind. Thank you for this. I hope you are seeing this brand new video. Meet Israel Derangement Syndrome was 10-7 LIHOP. Make sure you go back and check. Make sure you're subscribing to all of these, which is very, very critical in any event. All right, dear friends, have a great and glorious day. Don't ever change. I mean that sincerely. You have been more than kind and more than fair and more than observant and more than sapient. I thank you for that. We will see you next time, tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. Eastern time. Until then, remember these particular words, these final words. The monkey's dead. The show's over. Sue ya. Da-da.